Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Good morning. Good morning. Today is the 19th of November. Have you got your Christmas shopping done yet?
Oh, God! No, God!
Well, it's time to get it started. Glad and thankful to have you here. Kamala Harris tops all of the polls for the Democratic Party to run for president of the United States in 2028. Yes. Which means, you know what? That means.
Okay.
Soundbite is staying. We'll have a lot to talk about today with Cliff Maloney when he joins us at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. He'll do a victory lap for his epic win out there in Pennsylvania as head of the Pennsylvania Chase, and then he went to Mar-a-Lago the other night. And he had a big party, and he was hanging out with Elon Musk, and he was hanging out with Donald Trump and all these other famous people, but the most famous person of all, of course, he was hanging out with was Javier Milei, boys. Yes, I am a Miller intellectual. I posted that yesterday on X, and people were just like putting that out everywhere. I was like, Javier Milei retweeted that even. So I really am grateful to Cliff Maloney for taking a picture with Javier Milei, and the Afueras. The famous video made its way onto Javier Milei's highlight reel of the Mar-a-Lago party. I posted the video. If you didn't see it, you can view it at forlibertyshop.com on the Javier Milei collection page. So definitely check that out if you guys haven't seen it. It's awesome. Cliff Maloney will be joining us this morning at 7:30 a.m. Central to talk about his victory in Pennsylvania. We're also going to talk about that attempt to steal the Senate election. The governor, Josh Shapiro, kept mum as Senator Bob Casey tried to prevail through illegal votes in Pennsylvania. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one. So we're going to talk to Cliff Maloney about all of that and more. We've got lots of exciting stuff to talk about with Cliff today. At 8 a.m. Central Time this morning, we're going to speak to Kamala Peterson, which is always fun. Kamala is going to join us this morning at 8 a.m. Central Time to talk about Boeing has decided to delete their diversity, equity, and inclusion program in favor of a merit-based program. We're winning. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old woman? Thank you, Bucks Nasty. Yes, great comment. Morning. What's up, Latrell? Look at him with his newly minted powers of moderation. Thank you, Quest Fanning, for the super sweet donation. Says, if the Dems had any brains, it would be Gavin Newsom. Sure, his COVID lockdowns caused a bunch of net deaths, but he's slick enough to get away with that and more. Newly minted moderator Latrell Dubs. L Dubs. Guys, I know you guys are going to be excited to hear this one because you were asking about this, and I wasn't going to be able to do it this year, I thought, but now I get to tell you. Here's the thing. Now, don't get too excited because it's not going to happen until later this afternoon. But Martha's Mint is coming back for a limited time. You will get access to Martha's Mint coffee over at forlibertyshop.com, but you got to buy it, okay? Or else I won't be able to do it next year. So I've brought back Martha's Mint coffee. It's not in the shop yet. It will be there this afternoon. So if you've been looking to stock up again on another box of delicious Martha's Mint coffee, it will be at forlibertyshop.com later this afternoon. So keep an eye out for it and stock up when it arrives. Okay. There's Martha's Mint coffee. What else have we got? Guys, guess what? Not only is Martha's Mint coffee back, but the bonus content is back. Yeah. So you're welcome, Kermode Bear. I know you're excited. I'm glad you appreciate that. I did that just for you. Martha's Mint Coffee coming back later today, but make sure you get it because it's only for a limited time. Once Christmas Day hits, it's gone. It's out. We're also going to have another holiday coffee. It's going to be like a nutty flavor, nutty aroma. I know some of you love your nuts. Oh, nuts.
How dare you?
So Martha's Mint Coffee comes back in the shop later today. John Rails drinking some Revolutionary Roast this morning. Delicious. I hope you enjoy it. And then another thing is back, guys. Guess what else is back? Backstreet's back. All right. No, The bonus content is back. There you go, today. But it's newer, it's better, it's stronger, it's harder, it's faster. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes it stronger. So I'm giving you all this good news. Here's the bad news. The bad news is that going forward, because I've upgraded the bonus content, the 5-minute mini documentaries, by the end of the show, if we hit a certain threshold of donations and purchases, which I'm sure we'll have no problem, but the price has come up. So it's $75. Hey, quality goes up, cost goes up. So if we hit $75, stop it. If we hit $75 raised by the end of the show, guys, then you will unlock today's bonus content. It's new, it's improved. It's the Wake Up America Show's bonus content program, and we are back. I've been revitalizing it. Let's hear it for the boys. Let's give the boys a hand. All right. So, did you guys think that was all that was going to go on today? That we're going to get Martha's Mint back. You're going to get your bonus content back. You're going to have Cliff Maloney at 7:30. You're going to have Camellia at 8 o'clock. We've got one of Donald Trump's presidential appointments on the show today. Oh, my God. Will Scharf, fellow Missourian. Donald Trump's attorney will be taking a role in the White House, officially working for Donald Trump. I'm so excited. Couldn't be happier. Donald Trump tapped his personal lawyer, Will Scharf, for White House staff secretary. Scharf was a member of Donald Trump's legal team in the federal election interference case and the Supreme Court immunity case. He was an attorney general case. He was an attorney general candidate here in the state of Missouri. He's been my friend, acquaintance for a number of years now. I think we go back to 2018. And now he's going to serve in the White House. So nobody gets to Donald Trump. Without going through Will Scharf. And Will Scharf will be on my show this morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Aren't you so excited? This is a fucking awesome show, bro. We've got a lot to go, so let's go ahead and start getting that bonus content unlocked, guys, because we got to get $75 by the end of the show. The easiest way to do it, the way I recommend everybody do it, is that they go to 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. Get your Christmas shopping done early because shipping is always a pain in the butt this time of year, guys. So go to 4libertyshop.com. Our Doge merchandise is hot, hot, hot. The Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, has an unofficial merch store. That's me. And you can get all your awesome Doge merchandise at 4libertyshop.com, as well as our holiday gear. The Baked AF Christmas slouchy off-shoulder sweatshirt, kind of sexy, kind of naughty, kind of funny. Very popular item this year. You can get that again at 4libertyshop.com. There you go. So all you had to do is buy a couple of sweaters and you unlock the bonus content, right? Right. We ready to start the show? This is why they don't want Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General of the United States, because he says things like this.
And I don't care if it takes every second of our time and every ounce of our energy. We either get this government back on our side or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them.
Oh,
if they do not come to heel.
Wow, you can tell who's the Republicans in the audience and who is like the Democrat like apparatchiks that are there just to like report on Republicans and make them look stupid, right? The people who stood up, you know, the lady right there's the lady right here at this part where is it before he even says what he's going to abolish, she's standing up. Hold on, let me see where she says.
Defund and get rid of, abolish.
Defund and get rid of. See, that would have been me. I would have been standing up right there, like defund and abolish. She didn't even know what we were defunding or abolishing. She was standing up. She was pointing. She's the libertarian in the audience there. I'm loving seeing Silicon Valley Titans coming to heel. I'm loving seeing Peter Thiel having a conversation with Barry Weiss about the Donald Trump victory. I'm loving seeing Morning Joe Scarborough, going to kiss the ring at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump. Joe Scarborough, you know, he's such a little weasel. You know, he just wants to have access to Donald Trump. He still hates his guts. But that weasel, Joe Scarborough, goes out and talks about how he met with Donald Trump and they're acting like it's this summit. And then Donald Trump calls him out for trying to act like it was some meeting of the minds or whatever. When in reality, it was just Joe Scarborough showing up like a defeated dog to kiss the ring. And I'm just laughing. I'm laughing. Panic on the streets of London. But I'm also loving the reactions that I'm seeing from MSNBC hosts and the ladies of The View. Sonny Hostin was not a fan of Joe Scarborough going to talk to Donald Trump. Take a listen.
And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists. But we have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news. He is the guy who ushered in alternative facts. He is the guy who attacked 3 black female journalists. He's the guy that revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials for asking him a question. And so I think that this president-elect, I hate to say it, would like nothing more than to have only Fox News cover him, would like nothing more than a state-sponsored media. And I don't think he can be trusted in the way that other presidents can be trusted.
You know, it's funny. I mean, what are you? You're an opinion journalist, right, Sonny Hostin? But the funny thing is about the Fox News thing, he's like, I only want Fox News to cover me. Well, there's not going to be many people at Fox News left because he's hiring them all to work in his administration. Good morning. Don't we have fun here on the Wake Up America show every day? Make sure you click that like button. If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, you're going to want to click the follow button as well. Come back and join us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. We've got a lot to discuss today and 3 awesome guests. We're going to speak to Cliff Maloney here in about 10 minutes, Camelia Peterson at 8 o'clock, and one of Donald Trump's picks for the White House, who will be going to work for the new administration. Will Scharf will be joining us this morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. It's going to be an awesome show, so you do not go away. Do not miss a second. I've got all the best clips of all the best meltdowns. The Democrats are now scrambling to try and wipe away Donald Trump's victory. They're saying it's not a mandate. It's not a mandate.
You look historically speaking, Donald Trump is now under 50% in the national popular vote, barely under 50%. But he is under 50%. And I want to take a look and compare his popular vote victory to those, historically speaking, over the last 200 years. His popular vote victory ranks 44th out of 51. That ain't exactly strong. Some might argue that is weak, in the words of Tony Blair. In fact, his popular vote win at this point is the weakest, going all the way back. You have to go all the way back to 2000 to find a weaker one, a smaller popular vote victory than Donald Trump currently has. So, yeah, Trump has won the popular vote. But it ain't all that, my dear friend John Berman.
Yeah, George
W. It ain't all that. It ain't the House, the Senate, the White House, the Supreme Court. It's not a mandate.
As a foreigner, if you're looking at a combination of popular vote and electoral college vote, look, Obama twice had bigger popular vote and electoral college vote victories.
And Joe Biden did as well.
Joe Biden's popular vote victory twice as big, electoral college victory a little smaller. Talk about coattails for Donald Trump.
Yeah, let's talk about coattails here. So, you talk about the Senate, short coattails. States Trump won, but Democrats won or lead in the Senate race. Look at this. In 2016, it was 0. In 2020, it was 0. In 2024, look at this. 4 states where a Senate Democratic candidate won, even though Donald Trump won. We're talking about Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, not Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. That is 4 states, and Pennsylvania we still haven't called
yet. They're coping, they're seething. First comes the cope, then comes the seethe, then comes the complete and total turnaround from what they were saying before the election, and now listen to what they're saying after the election. Are you ready for a little liberal before and after? Here we go.
I think that she should keep calling Donald Trump a fascist. And I think that Americans need to keep looking at the rhetoric of Donald Trump, because I don't know why we're even thinking about electing somebody who's talking about putting people in camps. I don't know why why we want to elect somebody who's talking about mass deportation. I don't know why we're having this conversation about somebody who wants to terminate the Constitution.
Don't y'all find it strange that now that he's won, they're not calling him a threat to democracy?
They're not calling him a fascist. I mean, damn, on Monday.
They're not calling him anything.
They can. On Monday, they was just calling him that. I would think that, if you really believe that, then somebody's speech would be about how America effed up and how things are about to be really bad.
Even that man
He's the most powerful man in the world now.
It just makes you wonder how much
They're not calling him a fascist anymore, Charlemagne, but who was calling him a fascist?
did they really believe how much of it was
Who
just
was that
politics?
calling him a fascist?
I think that she should keep calling Donald Trump a fascist. And I think that Americans need to keep looking at the rhetoric of Donald Trump, because I don't know.
That was the problem, was they just didn't call him a Nazi hard enough. That was the problem, right, guys? I think you should keep calling Donald Trump. That was like a defiant L caught on video. Charlemagne the God, before the election, keep calling him a fascist, and then after his election, it's like, can you believe that calling him a fascist didn't work? I can't. They probably shouldn't have called him a fascist, right? Like, it's just. It's the Wake Up America show. Good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. You can text the Wake Up America show and let us know what's on your mind at 573-319-1586. That's right. You can hear your opinions in my voice read out loud if you send me a text, 573-319-1586. One listener said that they sent a Rumble rant last week with a vid on tariffs. Your audience still want to know your thoughts after you watch it. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that video. I will try and watch it. I've been a very busy man. Quest Fanning texted, said, why is Youngkin endorsing Sears for governor of VA instead of running for another term himself? Good question. Maybe he's got himself another White House appointment, just like Will Scharf got one, and he'll be joining us at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Maybe we'll ask him about that. We're going to speak to Cliff Maloney live in less than 5. Don't go away. We'll talk about the winner of the PHAs, who was partying with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. We'll ask Cliff, what did Elon Musk say to him the other day at Mar-a-Lago? Cliff Maloney joins us live in less than 5. Don't go away. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
What was the biggest mistake that needs to be corrected?
Well, obviously, we've lost touch with the majority of Americans. Democrats have a habit of preaching down to people and telling them that if they don't 100% agree with our orthodox view, often defined by the far left, then they're just bad people. They're morally wrong. And that's not going to win us any elections.
We have policy issues that are out of touch with the American people. Our tent's got to get bigger. We got to be more accepting of positions all across the spectrum without the shaming and the canceling that goes on our side of the aisle.
No, they're learning their lessons. We must lock in our gains before the Democrats learn the secrets of why they've lost the election. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. We're very excited to have you here. Please click that like button. We'd love to have you come back and join us every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. The Wake Up America show streams live. I got to say a big thank you to our boy Gannon. He went over there and made a nice purchase over at forlibertyshop.com. The bonus content is back, baby. I know you're excited about that. And we're so close now. His purchase at the shop and then Quest Fanning's were just like a few dollars short away from forlibertyshop.com's bonus content unlock program. So make sure that you get those Rumble Rant donations in because we're almost to the bonus content unlock. So if somebody donated I think it's like $5, we would unlock the bonus content and then you guys get to see the brand new and improved, slightly more pricey bonus content here on the Wake Up America show, right? Okay, cool. So let's do that. Cliff Maloney, not here yet, but he's always like a little bit late. It is what it is when you're dealing with celebrities. And he's rubbing shoulders with Elon Musk and Javier Milei and Donald Trump the other night at Mar-a-Lago. He's a big shot now, so it's harder to get him on the phone. You know what it is? That's what happens. I wonder if Donald Trump's going to appoint him to anything. Well, we do have one of Donald Trump's appointment picks on my show today at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. So please do make sure that you come back at 8:30 a.m. Central Time to listen to Will Scharf, who is going to be, to use a literary reference, he's basically going to be Donald Trump's worm tongue. No. But a good one. Like nobody gets to the king of Gondor if they don't go through Wormtongue. No, it's Will Scharf, and he's a good friend. He's going to be joining us this morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time on the phone. It's going to be a great interview. Hopefully, Cliff Maloney will be joining us live on the show here sometime in the next 5 to 10 minutes because I want to talk to him, not just about hanging out, what it was like to hang out with, what Elon Musk said to him when they were at Mar-a-Lago the other night. But I'd also like to talk to him a little bit about what's going on out there in Pennsylvania. Ooh, Southcott. Ooh, so close. Thank you, sir, for that bonus content unlocked. It's just like $2 more and then we unlock the bonus content. Pretty sure. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro finally steps in to denounce the illegal vote counting that was aimed to benefit Bob Casey in the Senate race. The Supreme Court ruled that illegal ballots cannot count. Quote, any insinuation that our laws can be ignored or do not matter is irresponsible and does damage to faith in our electoral process. The rule of law matters in this Commonwealth. And as I have always said, it is critical for counties and officials in both parties to respect it with both their rhetoric and their actions. Shapiro says, I expect all county election officials to adhere to this ruling. Well, maybe a day late and $1 short, but the right words. But The Pennsylvania's current senator, Bob Casey, is refusing to concede the re-election loss to the Republican challenger, Dave McCormick, because Mr. McCormick leads by less than a half a percentage point. They're having an automatic recount. That's going to begin tomorrow. It's a total mess. In 4 counties, Bucks County, Philadelphia, Center, and Montgomery, election officials openly defied a 2023 Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision by counting undated or misdated ballots in an effort to drag Mr. Casey over the finish line. Yesterday afternoon, the Supreme Court in the state issued an unsigned order to the counties. They shall comply with the prior rulings of this court, in which we have clarified that mail-in and absentee ballots that fail to comply with the requirements of the Pennsylvania Election Code shall not be counted. Capitalization shall not be counted in capitals. That's the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to these counties that are trying to count illegal votes. I mean, it's an ignominious look for Mr. Casey because he's exiting the political stage. His career is pretty much over. But the bigger question is, where has the governor been the whole time? Josh Shapiro issuing this statement, days and days after people are screaming, from high heaven, from the rooftops, about what the Democrats are trying to do in Pennsylvania. I mean, he was supposed to be a kind of a moderate, and he was widely touted to be one of the potential vice presidential picks for Kamala Harris, who is leading the polls in 2028 as the Democrats' potential next presidential candidate. Again, shall we do Kamala 2.0? Who wants it? Huh? No? Are you sure?
No, God,
you guys don't want to do another 4 years of this? No, you guys think that these sound bites just fall out of a coconut tree? I don't think so. Ari Fleischer, he's former White House press secretary for George W. Bush, says counties in Pennsylvania are openly and defiantly flouting election laws, and Shapiro sat there silently. He was AWOL, acting like a pure partisan for his party instead of upholding the law the way a true leader should. Thank you, Ari Fleischer. When the AP called the race for Mr. McCormick on November 7th, the Republican had about a 30,000 vote lead. His margin has been reduced to 18,000, which is no surprise because provisional ballots typically they break Democratic. But Mr. McCormick's people remain confident, saying that although they expect the margin will drop by another 2,000 or 3,000, there aren't enough Casey votes left over to put him over the top. That's why the AP called the race when it did. And then came open defiance from the people who are supposed to guarantee the integrity of vote counts. Election commissioners in 4 counties passed resolutions to count ballots that the state Supreme Court ruled ineligible. Yeah, that is illegal. Arrest those people. Diane Ellis Marseglia, she's the commissioner who put forward Bucks County's motion, was brazen. She says, I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, she said. People violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention. There's nothing more important than counting votes. It's time to send that woman to jail. Send her to jail now. Clap her in irons. Thank you to Captain Tight Pants, who said, Bob Casey was the governor when I lived there 30 years ago. It's time for him to go. Thank you for that donation, Captain Tight Pants. You have unlocked the bonus content. So she's the vote commissioner there in Bucks County is saying people violate the laws all the time, anytime they want. So, and she's openly admitting to violate the law. She's openly admitting she's violating the law. It's time for us to arrest these commissioners who are illegally counting votes in these 4 counties of Pennsylvania. Who's with me? All right. Even the Washington Post is coming out against this. In an editorial that they wrote on Saturday, the headline was, Democrats thumb their nose at the rule of law in Pennsylvania. The paper noted that the election officials were acting at the request of Mr. Casey's legal team. The Post then added that Mr. Casey has almost certainly lost this race. Ouch. Jail, right? Jail. Those who know the governor aren't surprised that he let this all go by. Unfortunately, Governor Shapiro's refusal to lead on election integrity and his silence on this subject has been typical of him and his administration, says Nathan Benefield. He's a senior vice president with the Harrisburg-based Commonwealth Foundation. Quote, he avoids taking a firm, He avoids taking a firm position and tries to play both sides on every issue. All right, guys. Looks like the hiccups. The hiccups are setting in. Oh, God. Oh, boy. Here we go. Yeah, guess what? Bonus content. Let's see if I can go get Cliff Maloney. Don't go away, guys. I'm going to get rid of my hiccups somehow. And we'll play the bonus content since you unlocked it. Thank you. We'll be right back. Hopefully Cliff Maloney will be here. If not, then we got Camellia at 8 a.m. Central. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Cherished by generations to come.
I didn't want to believe Elon when he said this, and I texted him a few weeks before the election and told him, I hadn't believed you when you said this at first, but I think it's because psychologically I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that the country's so far gone that you have to leave the country or something. And but then but the sense in which I felt that he was correct was that if Trump, with what I think but much better substance, much better on so many things, could not win in 2024 against the machine, the machine would always win. And if the machine always wins, you no longer have a democracy. You certainly no longer have a democratic process within the Democratic Party. We can always debate the election shenanigans in November of 2020. The far more extraordinary thing was March of 2020, where Biden comes in 4th place, 5th place in Iowa, New Hampshire, and then somehow gets rammed through South Carolina. All the other candidates drop off. So it's the extremely non-democratic primary in the Democratic Party in 2020, and then an even less democratic process by which Biden was replaced with Harris. And it was going to be this. And if the machine could defeat Trump, I thought it was reasonable that it would gain even more power and somehow be unbeatable, and the country would become California, would become a one-party state, and it would be far worse than California, because the constraint on California is people can leave California. It's much harder to leave the U.S.
Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. I'm glad and thankful to have you here. Click that like button. If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, I hope you'll come back and join us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. The Wake Up America show streams live. It's a 5-day-a-week freedom extravaganza. We've always got great topics, great guests, great clips, things to make you think, things to make you laugh, things to make you, cry, but mostly happy tears these days. Now that Donald Trump has been reelected president of the United States, he's been making his cabinet selections in earnest, as well as appointing other people to staff and lead the White House. One of those people will be joining us this morning. Missouri's own Will Sharp will be joining us live at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. I know he'll be on today because he's already texted me this morning, but I guess Cliff Maloney, he's just too big time for us. Too big time, hanging out with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Javier Milei the other day. That's okay. I'm going to forgive Cliff Maloney for not showing up today, because he took a picture of him with Javier Milei and my famous Afuera sneakers. So we'll let this one go. Mr. Newsy says, Austin Peterson for ambassador to Ohio. I reject. I refuse. I'm waiting on that sweet, sweet ambassadorship to Argentina. Right? Breaking news, Kamala Harris leads the first poll for the 2028 Democratic nomination. 41% to second place is 8%. Gavin Newsom. Oh, my God. It's sad to see, but it is true. Kamala Harris is the Democratic presidential primary frontrunner for now. Democrats chose her overwhelmingly to run again in 2028. Gavin Newsom sitting in second place at 8%. What a joke. I hope the Democrats continue to go down that path. Many of us are still celebrating Donald Trump's wins. And across America, a new trend is taking shape where the professional sports teams have, of course, Trump supporters on them, but even soccer apparently is getting people into the Donald Trump dance.
Down to the right side there for Weston McKennie. McKennie over the top. Lovely ball for Pulisic. It's Christian Pulisic. It's absolutely delightful for the United States.
It is.
And Christian Pulisic has the early goal.
There it is. Hold on.
Pulisic has the early goal.
There we go.
Christian Pulisic has the early goal.
I don't have any Trumpy music, guys, so I'm just going to have to play this one. I'm Austin Peterson, and I approve this message. The Trump dance is so elite that the NFL is telling their players not to do it. Don't do the Trump dance, they say. They don't want people having any fun or celebrating the next president of the United States. Some people, though, some Democrats have become complacent. They have stepped aside, and they are showing up at Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. Morning Joe Scarborough, and Mika Brzezinski apparently went to Mar-a-Lago for what Joe was trying to make look like some kind of a meeting of the minds or a summit, and Trump disabused us of that notion when he posted on his own Truth Social account that Joe appeared like a beaten dog, and that Mika Brzezinski was actually very nice and charming. But I love Megyn Kelly. She took on Morning Joe appearing at Mar-a-Lago the other day, and this one was fun. Take a listen.
And that is where we are beginning today, with the absolutely ridiculous pair on the MSNBC morning show, Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. How long have they been telling us that he's an existential threat, that he's a Hitler-esque figure, that he's a fascist, that women will die if he gets elected? Well, they've done a 180. They've done a 180 as their ratings circle the bowl. And we've got the sound bites to show you exactly what we're talking about. Joining me now to discuss it, Glenn Greenwald, host of Rumble's System Update.
I love Megyn Kelly goes into like a 10-minute rant there, her and Glenn Greenwald. Hey, my buddy Adam Coleman, he just made a thread about the Donald Trump dance. You know what? Let's read it, okay? What do you say? Since Cliff's not here and I'm trying to kill time. Make sure you click that like button. Here's what Adam Coleman had to say about the Donald Trump dance. The radical left's greatest nightmare is having Americans humanize Donald Trump and returning him to his status as a lovable cultural icon. That's why they're losing their minds over the Trump dance phenomenon. The spell over Americans to see him as a monster is fading. Yeah, actually, hold on one second. Pause just 1 second. I was seeing Joe Walsh. You guys remember Joe Walsh Freedom? BS. And I saw him. What did he say this morning? People continue to vote with their feet. I'm a flawed messenger, reformed MAGA gangbanger, blah, blah, blah. What he was talking about, what was it I saw this morning that Joe had posted? Something about normalization. Oh, he says, "Dear Morning Joe and Joe NBC, I get what you're trying to do is to sit down with anyone of good faith. And that good faith, I sit down with Trump." He says, "You're only normalizing the threat he is by sitting down with him. Please reconsider." Joe Walsh is freaking out about people normalizing Donald Trump again. Here he is. Yeah, he says, Joe Walsh is saying, if you normalize Trump, he's already beaten you. Resist. Shut up, Joe. What's wrong with you? No, here he is. Do not normal. Here's Joe Walsh, my former friend, endorsed me for president of the United States and U.S. Senate. Look at him now, a shell of his former self.
Do not normalize him. Everybody repeat after me. Do not normalize Donald Trump. Stop. If you, like me, believed 4 weeks ago that he is an utter threat to our democracy, he remains that now. If you believed that 2 years ago, if you believed he believes he's above the law, he is a lawless guy, he is that now. He's still that now. If you believe when he said during the campaign that he wanted to be a dictator, he wanted to be an authoritarian, he's doing that now.
Hasn't even been elected yet. He hasn't even got into office yet. See, Joe Walsh, I know Joe Walsh, and I know why he's doing what he's doing. He's built up an audience of never Trumpers and leftists, and he is locked in because they're the last vestige of audience that he can manipulate and grift off of. Because I understand. Listen, I'm in this business. I understand like how this works. And if he leaves his leftist audience, comes back to the Republicans, that nobody in the Republican Party is going to listen to him. Remember when he ran for president as a Republican in 2020, right? And nobody cared, nobody paid attention. So like this is for him, it's his last grift. And Joe, it's just sad, man. It's just sad to see. But this is Adam Coleman, my buddy, LeBased Black, wrong speak. He's been on the show a couple of times. He's talking about the normalization question. He says the radical left's greatest nightmare is having Americans humanize Donald Trump and returning him to his status as a lovable cultural icon. That's why they're losing their minds over the Trump dance phenomenon. The spell over Americans to see him as a monster is fading. That is Adam Coleman. He says there are logical reasons why someone might not agree with Trump politically, but the arguments against Trump have been mostly moral arguments, casting him as an inhuman character who is beyond reproach. It's why they say he's different. They mean he's not to be humanized. He says Hitler is a perfect example of a person we culturally feel comfortable dehumanizing, which is why it's the go-to comparison for the people who hate him the most. It's a manipulative, hypnotizing tactic to convince people to see him as being anything other than human. We're not supposed to be empathetic to monsters, and we don't give the same level of treatment to demonic characters as we do other people. There is no good faith to be had with the people who are so terrible that we reserve the right to remove their human card. It's why you saw people angry that the shooter who attempted to assassinate Trump only took a piece of his ear and not his life. We are comfortable publicly celebrating the death of monsters, not humans. That's right. It's time for us to think about what we have been doing to Donald Trump. It's time for us to normalize and humanize Donald Trump.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come. From now on, it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
There it is, America first. I know somebody from Missouri who's America first. Which one? We've got two Missourians coming on the show. Next is Camelia Peterson. Boeing just got rid of its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in favor of merit, but maybe it's because they're going to need it because we're going into World War III. Then Will Scharf, appointed by Trump. He's at 8:30. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger. but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? You can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. I'm glad and thankful to have you here. Click that like button, and if today is your first time watching the Wake Up America show, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. The show's schedule is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So when you click that follow button over there at Rumble, at rumble.com/AP for Liberty, you'll be able to find us very easily. Did you know that we're a whole network? Yeah, we've got 2 more shows. It's not just the Wake Up America show, it's also Culturama, starring Daniela Pensack. She's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. And then Thursday night, right after Culturama, we've got Liberty Tonight at 4libertynetwork.com. So check us out, guys. Yeah. 2 great new shows on 4 Liberty Network And I've been twisting my arm, the arm of this next person, to give her her own show, but to this point yet, she is showless. But she joins us Tuesdays and Thursdays. Camelia Peterson joining us live here on the Wake Up America show. Good morning.
Good morning. There's a good time and a place, and maybe we haven't reached that yet, but there's never say never.
Okay, never say never. Thank you very much.
But by the way, yeah, happy Milei Day, everyone.
Happy Javier Milei election anniversary day.
A year ago today, the world started to change in a more positive direction, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't think I can I don't think there's any way I can overstate like the impact that Javier Milei has had, not just on his own country and his own people, and not just on the world, but like on me personally. Javier Milei, like, because I remember when Javier Milei got elected, I was kind of like in the thick of it, fighting with like other right-wing libertarians about like foreign policy stuff.
Yeah.
And like Javier Milei got elected, and the people that I was arguing with over foreign policy, on these debates and spaces and things like that, were just shitting all over me because they were like, "This is not libertarian. You're a neocon," and all this stuff. And then Javier Milei gets elected, and he takes the exact same foreign policy positions that I've been taking, and he's the highest elected libertarian in the world. And I'm just kind of like,
right. So it's been
now, bitch.
It's just like the last year or two have been, I don't know, for all of the bad things that, people have talked about as far as with the cultural issues, like there has been reason to hope because things have been moving in a positive direction. I think sometimes people kind of get in that negative bubble and you can't see any of the good happening, but it's been happening. So I was just, I hosted a luncheon a few days ago, and there were several people I didn't know that came. And so one lady came, and when we went around and introduced ourselves and everything, she said that she had come from Argentina. And I was like, can we just talk about Javier Milei? And she was so excited. And she said, that's why I'm so passionate about doing the right thing here in America, because I love this country and I came from Argentina and I know what it was like.
Yes.
And so she said, and we are on the exact same path. I've seen it happen before. And so it's just been so fun to watch, because our friend Alejandra, like 2 or 3 years ago, started putting Milei on our radar and wrote a couple of articles for the Libertarian Republic about, what he was doing just kind of in this movement he was creating, and didn't really think he had a shot at winning it, but maybe a slim one. And so, we kind of got these updates. So like when he really, gained momentum and just kind of busted out onto the international scene and everybody started paying attention, like we'd kind of seen this sort of coming for a while. And it was really neat to just really watch him have his day.
It was a fantastic day because you could hear and see evil receding. It's kind of like what's happening here with Donald Trump. You see these people kind of like I described it the other day, where it's like lifting up the rock and they're all like, right? You could see like it made all of the right people angry. We knew that we were doing something right. It's like when Donald Trump announced the pick of Matt Gaetz, and I think we've discussed this, but it was kind of like, love him or hate him, like the people that are opposing Matt Gaetz, he's always like going after the worst people in Washington, D.C., right? And Javier Milei, it drives the worst people insane. The World Economic Forum, he told them off to their faces. He calls out the global elites. I mean, he really is, Javier Milei really is like our ideal example of what we're looking for in a leader.
And if you're drawing parallels, I mean, like, remember when Milei first was elected, like the question was, were there going to be riots in the streets from the Peronists? And, how would he handle that? Because, if his response was too strong and, you send military out into the streets to control things and people end up getting hurt, and the thing was, he's done such a good job of just really being very smart in his responses. And so he handled all of that perfectly. I don't think anybody could have done it better with a better outcome. And they poked and prodded and needled him and did everything they could to get a reaction, and they were unsuccessful. And I think that's part of the reason why he is successful, because he's like, I told you what I came here to do, and now I'm doing it. And, there's nothing that you can say or do that's going to, get my ire up and make me say and do things that I'm going to regret.
Yes. Well, we were talking about this before the show started this morning about like I'm running out of dopamine because there's too many exciting good news things happening here in the country. It looks like Cliff was saying that his flight got hacked or some kind of problem with his flights this morning, so he couldn't join us. But we'll definitely have him back on again soon. Talk to us about the incoming Donald Trump administration. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gaetz, assuming they can get across the finish line. But I mean, there's a lot of rumblings and grumblings that Republicans in Washington, D.C. are going to do everything they can to stand in Trump's way, which, to be honest, kind of pisses me off, Camelia. What about you?
I mean, to a certain extent, it's the fear of the unknown in a way, right? These are people that they're not comfortable with, and so they disrupt the status quo. And I know a lot of people are kind of all over the place on that, as far as whether it's good strategy to have, disruptors in there. Can you maintain that? But I, over the last few years have kind of come to the point where I do think that disruptors have their place, because whenever, we get too comfortable, like it's kind of like with COVID, people, I think, in the United States, we're getting very comfortable with authoritarianism and just complacent. And it took something like, COVID and the tyranny that came out of that in so many places to wake people up and say, and like, look, you have to get involved, because if you don't do something, they will lock you in your homes. They will shut your schools down. They will, tell you that they'll control every aspect of your life out of fear. And so I think that was a good lesson for Americans in general. But I do think that, when the establishment, so to speak, are comfortable and they like how things are going and it's what they're used to, and you get people in there who are the disruptors, like I think you need that to upset that balance. Now, I do think that eventually, like, we need somebody to come in there that's going to kind of level things out, because you can't do disruption just with no end, right? That's not going to be healthy for the country. But I do think that it serves its purpose.
Well, speaking of disruption, I'm reading a news story you shared with me this morning. Boeing reportedly dismantled its global diversity, equity, and inclusion department. Very exciting. Tell us more.
Yeah, so we've been talking about this for a while, and how do you fight the culture wars, right, with these issues? And I really do think the free market has been working on this issue, because as people have, voted with their dollars, and as they have, there's been backlash because you have, companies are providing crappy service. Boeing has parts falling off their planes. Like they're, you know what I'm saying? Like they're seeing very real life outcomes of not hiring people based on their qualifications. And so we've seen company after company start backpedaling, because they're like, it's hitting them where it hurts, right? I feel like their profits are suffering. So Robbie Starbuck has been on top of this and has really been targeting a lot of these companies, and he targeted Boeing as well. And of course, Boeing is already making news for outcomes that are a result of this, arguably. So Boeing is reducing their workforce in general, but they are also dismantling their DEI department. And the statement they made about that is that Boeing remains committed to recruiting and retaining top talent and creating an inclusive work environment where every teammate around the world can perform at their best while supporting the company's mission. And they also added that it operates a merit-based performance system with procedures aimed at encouraging an equality of opportunity, not of outcomes. And that is what we've been wanting to hear from companies. That's the premise of the foundation of the United States. It's not that you're guaranteed success, it's that you're guaranteed the opportunity to pursue it. So I just think there was finally enough backlash, and Boeing has been hurting enough in losing business, that they're like, we can't continue to commit resources to that, and we have to improve our quality, or they're going to lose all of those nice, juicy government contracts.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. I'm reading another article this morning, the Wall Street Journal. It says Donald Trump Jr. goes all in on the anti-woke economy. He says the subheading is the MAGA surrogate and powerful advisor to the president-elect is joining venture capital firm 1789 to invest in companies espousing conservative values. This is basically they're going to go in and start to invest more in what they call the Republican parallel economy. They've been investing in companies like Rumble, Public Square, their own distribution facilities, looking at creating server farms to like host. And here's what they said: 1789 said that their target was to raise $100 million to invest in areas including deglobalization and sectors that are impaired by environmental, social, and governance mandates. This is kind of like, this is the disruption and the counter-revolution.
Yeah.
Right now they're
Sure.
backing, Tucker Carlson, and other people. But I mean, like, good time to be in the conservative media podcasting coffee business space, huh? Give me a call,
Yes.
Donald Trump Jr., Booby baby.
And get you some coffee.
Yeah.
Yes. So the thing is like, this is something that we've been talking about quite a bit in my day job, so to speak, too, is like, there is, we need to be working to create this coalition of conservative businesses, because that's literally the success of this country. We are built on entrepreneurship, and we've gotten to a point to where we've stifled that so much that our economy is hurting. People are hurting, as a result. So like, that's not only at the national level, but also at the state level. Like, a lot more people are starting to understand that we have to create an environment that makes it easier for people to innovate and to try new ideas and to create businesses and to employ people. So I'm really happy to hear that. And that'll be our focus here in Missouri as well.
Absolutely. I'm speaking to Camelia Peterson this morning on the Wake Up America show. Some people are saying, though, in the chat, they're like, don't fall for it. They're saying that we should be leery, that they're going to try and rebrand and repackage these things. There is a danger of that, is there not?
Sure. Yeah, I know. I think that will always be the case. That's why, I mean, when we talk about, for example, the education issue, and you talk about DEI and, all these things in the school system, that's why the answer is not to ban things, because they will always rebrand it, call it something else, put it in another way. There will always be that attempt. So the answer is not to ban things. The answer is not to just revamp the current system. The answer is to let people walk away and create alternative opportunities. We see this in the business world. We need it in the education world as well. And what's funny is that in that story about Boeing, and one of they did this survey where they surveyed like 1,300 Boeing employees about whether or not they were in favor of DEI policies, and there were 58% of them still said that they believe that their companies are investing an appropriate amount in DEI. 21% of those wish for greater investment. Like, of course, right? People are self-interested. And if they, so Boeing had, increased certain populations by a certain percent, over the last few years. So I think those results are skewed a little bit because people are self-interested. If they get their job as a result of that, of course they want to keep it. But what's funny is that out of the same group of people, only 43% said that they perceived those DEI initiatives as actually improving productivity. So I think even people that are benefiting of it are also saying, yeah, but we know it's not really making a big difference in the company.
One last question, or one last topic, Amelia, and I'm, sorry that I did not prepare you for this because it is kind of spicy. The increased interest since Donald Trump's election in the 4B movement. Have you heard about the 4B movement? Do you know what that is?
Okay, so vaguely, I've got a general idea of what it is, but I actually don't know what the 4Bs are.
Yes. So the 4Bs, or the 4 No's, it's a radical feminist movement that's emerged in South Korea during the mid to late 2010s. The name refers to its defining 4 tenets, which all start with the Korean language term B. This is the four core tenets of the 4B movement. More and more women are adopting this since Donald Trump won, are saying 1, no sex with men; 2, no giving birth; 3, no dating men; and 4, no marriage with men. I'm just going to say this. I fully support this 100%. And I wonder, and now I'm going to let you give your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, don't stop your enemy whenever they're shooting themselves in the foot, right?
More for you, right, Camelia? Because you're thirsty.
So here's the thing, like all four of those things are very connected. Like if you're not dating men, well, you're probably not going to be marrying them. If you're not dating men, you're also not going to be getting pregnant and you're not going to be having sex and, having babies. So like it all starts with not dating men, right? Their problem taken care of. But, it is so funny because there is such a, such a concern on the right now about the declining birth rate and blah 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 blah, whatever. And like I don't think that you can do anything about that realistically, but I do think that when people are fretting about that, look at who the people are who are having babies, right? And so that's a good thing generationally. So if you are concerned about the future of your children and the country that they will have in the future, then you should be very happy about this, because the people that who are making your lives miserable right now are not going to be reproducing, and the people that you like are. Like, what's not to like?
Here, hold on. I've got a clip. Hold on one second. Here.
Promise you ain't no alive worth getting stuck with a man. None. We are taking coochie off the table indefinitely.
They're taking coochie off the table indefinitely. Indefinitely,
Like,
that means for the foreseeable future, but that doesn't mean forever.
Like those things she was talking about at the beginning, I was like, what is she talking about?
But they're struggling though, Camelia. They've been brainwashed. They're scared, and they're going out there and they're essentially self-immolated. But I mean, I do see a lot of men out there who are supporting the 4B movement as a good way for us to winnow. See, it's interesting because it was for the dating scene for a while. It was like back in 2016. It was, swipe left if you voted for Trump on all the dating apps, right? But I think, we always talked about the war of the sexes and how this election played out more than others with the war of the sexes. But it feels as if the election of Donald Trump in part was about restoring men to their rightful place in society. Is it not?
I think that was a huge part of it, actually. I think that when you look at it as a whole and you look at, I'm not necessarily a particular fan of like the UFC or fighting or MMA or anything like that. But yeah, I think when you look at what they have kind of incorporated into their campaign and movement, and you contrast it with the other side, there's definitely a much more masculine feel to it. And that's not to say that like all men, are into all of those things. And that's not what necessarily defines your masculinity. But I think it is the idea that men are important, and they have recognized that, and they have elevated it, and they've talked about it. And Elon Musk has talked about it at length several times. So I think that's a very positive thing. I also think that it is kind of a natural outflow of what we have been seeing, culturally over the last few years with the masculinity movement. And, there are parts of the red pill or masculinity movement that have not been great. You've got the overreactions like the Andrew Tates that are not healthy versions of that. But out of that have come people actually paying attention to the fact that it is a serious issue, and they've started paying attention to the suicide rates. What the struggles that our young boys are having, and finding that balance and the importance. One of the things we talked about, that we've talked about a lot, is the epidemic of fatherlessness. I just had a conversation with someone about this the other day, and the thing is that. I know a guy who grew up in inner Kansas City, and he had a really rough childhood. And, he had an alcoholic dad and a druggy mom, and he saw people shot on his front porch. Like, he's had a rough life. But he said, growing up in that environment with all of the gangs and everything, even though he didn't have a good dad, so to speak, he was better off than his friends who had no dad present at all. And he had some of those, grandparent figures and things like that that were not in his life all the time. But so what his point was is like he was saying is like some father figure at all is better than none, even if it's not great. But what we do want to do is like we need to create the space and the culture that encourages those, like we need to make that popular for men to want to be good husbands and fathers in, a healthy way that's, not the version that feminism has ingrained in us to look at.
Yeah, well, we need to incentivize fatherhood by removing the disincentives to be a
Sure.
father in the society. There have been too many negative incentives placed on us culturally and governmentally that have, I think, put fathers in situations where, you want to disappear, you can, the state will step in, right? And I think it's a problem for us as men because, I mean, men need a purpose in life.
Yes.
We need to feel appreciated by our community. When we, there was kind of this joke that went around for a little while. I almost did it the other day where I kind of like did the smallest little thing. And I wanted to get some affirmation from my wife, Stephanie, that I had done this little thing, right? Because it wasn't like taking out the trash, but it was like organizing the garage or something like that. But I was so excited for my wife to like affirm that I had like done something to help around the house. And it seems so, like such a small, arrogant, kind of like egotistical thing. Like you need to get patted on the head. But it's kind of like, we men are so used to never getting a single word of kind word or comment or thank you or anything like that, that when it does happen, it like makes our year, right? So I don't know how we change this culturally, but I mean, we have to encourage and incentivize men to pick up and do the right things. Now, they shouldn't necessarily have to be thanked or appreciated for every little thing that they do, but I don't think we should underestimate the power of a simple compliment.
Yeah. I mean, like nobody like you could say that nobody should expect that, but the reality is that it is like
Gratitude.
yes, it's gratitude. It's not just the fact that you're expecting it or not, but it's the fact that it does make us feel good. It provides that reinforcement. Like I mean, we need that. I mean, you can't like that. We do need that. So I am a little optimistic on this front because and I don't know, maybe it's the bubble I'm in, I don't know, but I will say, even on Instagram, like they will show you like a really weird variety of like reels and things like that.
You send me a lot of those.
Yeah. They don't always align, with what I use, but I do see quite a few. I just saw one last night where a woman they made some reel and it was talking about all of the words of affirmation that your man needs to hear from you. And they weren't big, complicated things. They were really, basic things. And they were also things that make a man feel needed in his masculine role, like accepting help, knowing that you need help and being able to ask for it, and lots of other things. So I am optimistic in this. I think that we're moving in the right direction, and there has been the recognition that we need this. And I also think that too, that, women, like it doesn't work for women to hold men accountable. We need men holding men accountable, which I think is probably part of the problem in that, with feminism, like, women have just encroached into all of the men's spaces and we have a right to be there, right? We have a right to be in all of the men's spaces. And so you don't have any more just male spaces anymore. I think that's a very bad thing because you need those male spaces so that there is that that accountability among men.
Yeah, no, it's true. And we need more fraternal societies and we need more golf clubs and we need more private clubs that are exclusionary to the fairer sex.
Sure.
You're not,
I mean, like there's kind of a comeback to like cigar lounges and stuff lately, right? I was just like looked at a building the other day and it had like a just for men kind of stuff. But the thing is like I'm all for like if you're going to have a cigar lounge or whatever, make it no women allowed. Like that's fine. That's great.
Where we go. That's where we go. We want to talk about grabbing her by the pussy. Camellia Peterson, we're bringing the word retard back. We're bringing the locker room talk back. Men are back. You may like some parts of it, you may not like it, but it's too bad it's too late. Donald Trump, President of the United States. Camelia, we appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Have a great day, everyone. Happy Malay Day.
Happy Malay Day, the 1-year anniversary of the election of Javier Milei. What an exciting day. And even more exciting, Will Scharf joins us live in 5. He's the man with the plan in the White House who says, "You shall not approach the king." May we approach the king, Will Scharf? Let's talk to Donald Trump's latest appointment, White House Executive Secretary. We'll be right back with Will Scharf on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Don't go away.
Years ago, Trump and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor of your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.
Good morning, everyone. Rise in Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget, tonight, 7 p.m. Central Time, Daniela Pensack, the host of Culturama on the Liberty Network at 4libertynetwork.com. Make sure you tune in and talk about the greatest election of the greatest president in my lifetime, Donald Trump. Our friend Camelia Peterson just talked about that and more. Click the like button if you're enjoying the content. And if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, we hope you will earn our follow. Well, we've had our next guest on our show quite a few times. He's a former candidate for Attorney General here in the state of Missouri who probably got the biggest consolation prize I've ever seen anybody get. He defended Donald Trump against the egregious lawfare attacks against him. He's now been rewarded with an appointment in the White House. He is the man, Will Scharf, fellow Missourian, joining us live on the line right now. Good morning, Will. Thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Austin, always great to be with you. Really appreciate you having me on.
Hey, congratulations, Will, on your appointment. Tell us about your new job and what you'll be doing.
Yeah, so starting in January, I have the honor to serve as White House Staff Secretary, Assistant to the President and White House Staff Secretary. The Staff Secretary, this role for him, it's a job with a storied history. Brett Kavanaugh served as Staff Secretary to President George W. Bush. There are a lot of other folks who have gone on to do incredible things who work exact position. So I'm really excited to get down to it, to move into the West Wing come January and help President Trump make America great again.
Absolutely, Will. And I couldn't be more thrilled to see that you'll be in that position because it's honestly going to make me sleep better at night, knowing that you will be representing our nation and representing Missouri well. I'm curious your thoughts about the battle that the president has, the forthcoming battle when it comes to his picks for the Department of Homeland Security, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, but specifically the Matt Gaetz pick overall. It seems as if many in the Republican Party, despite the mandate that President Trump was just given in the election, many in the Republican Party seem opposed to the president nominating Matt Gaetz. Talk to us a little bit about that, about the potential for recess appointments. Help us understand the legality of recess appointments and what might be coming when it comes to trying to get Matt Gaetz across the finish line.
Well, I'm somewhat limited in what I can say there, Austin, but
Sure.
I'll say this. I believe that except in the rarest of circumstances, a president's picks for his own cabinet are owed a tremendous amount of deference. Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution obviously vests the executive power in the president. The United States Senate has an oversight function in terms of the confirmation process of cabinet secretaries. But I think a president deserves to have the people around him running his departments that he chooses. And I think that's certainly true of a president-elect like President Trump, who won such a resounding victory, truly expressing a mandate on the part of the American people to run the country the way that he wants to run the country. So I think really when you look at all of these picks, President Trump has picked some incredible people for his cabinet. Some of them maybe in the eyes of the press are more controversial than others. But again, except in the rarest of circumstances, I think the president is owed tremendous deference. In terms of recess appointments, we have this odd situation where in recent years, the Senate has started exercising its confirmation duties in ways that it just hasn't previously. The idea, for example, that sub-cabinet level officials, that their appointments to really not particularly controversial roles could be held up for months, if not years. That's a new constitutional innovation. That's not something we saw really before 2017. And I think there needs to be something that sort of resets the balance, that ensures that new presidents who come into office can get their picks through, can set up the government the way that they want to set up the government, and can effectuate their agenda. And whether that's through the recess appointment mechanism, which is a constitutional mechanism provided for by the U.S. Constitution, or whether it's by some sort of negotiated truce with the Senate to sort of undo these bad new precedents that have been set. We can't have a situation where every incoming administration from here on out is subjected to the sorts of processes that we've seen in recent years. It's just not a recipe for good government, for effective government, or for government that's responsive to the will of the people as expressed in presidential elections.
Well, talk to us a little bit about the bigger picture here in terms of the comparing and contrasting the second term of Donald Trump with the first term, because the MAGA coalition is much more diverse now. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, much more non-traditional picks. Donald Trump will face a lot of challenges in trying to keep all of the different coalitions satisfied to a certain extent. The Democrats are already doing what they can to try and, pry us apart. You have Elon Musk and Doge and Vivek Ramaswamy. Then you have Tulsi Gabbard, and you've got, more dovish, more libertarian Republican type people when it comes to things like foreign policy, trying to make peace with people like Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, much more hawkish on China policy. What will be the strategy, big picture, for Donald Trump to kind of keep all of the varying coalitions that are sometimes quite at odds with different policy ideas together in the second term, noting that it's much more ideologically diverse than it was in the first term?
I don't know about that. I think when you look at President Trump's cabinet picks in the first term, there was a degree of ideological diversity. There were some folks who disagreed, for example, on economic policy or foreign policy. I think there may be a similar dynamic at play here, but I think that again, I think the key point here is that President Trump has done this before. I think he's keenly aware of what he wants out of each of these positions in a way that he may not have been in 2016, just because he didn't have the experience of running the country for 4 years. So I think when you look carefully at the people he's putting into these positions, in each case, in every case, I think it's clear that he has a particular vision for the department or the office that he's putting folks into. And I think that's really being carried through as we see this transition now enter, I guess, week 2. It's crazy that it's only been a couple weeks. I'll make one final point, which is that, I've been doing some policy work for the transition. We were staffed up and working on policy initiatives, on day one actions several months ago. I think it's rare in American history, if not unprecedented, to have a transition personnel and policy perspective that's been as well organized and well articulated as this Trump transition. That's not something that makes, headline news. That's not something you see splashed on TV. But there's an incredible team of professionals who have volunteered their time for literally months now to make sure that President Trump and his appointees and his staff have the ability to hit the ground running on day one. And that's a dynamic that I think the press has largely missed. I think the early days of this Trump administration may be some of the most impactful important days in modern American political history.
Certainly, and I'm very excited for it. I'm speaking to Will Scharf this morning. He will serve as White House Staff Secretary. That is a powerful role, controlling the paper flow to the Oval Office. Will Scharf was a member of Donald Trump's legal team in his federal election interference case and his Supreme Court immunity case. He also played a part in getting Trump's Supreme Court nominees Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett confirmed. We're speaking to him live right now in week 2 of the transition from the Biden administration to the incoming Trump administration. Now, Will, you and I have known each other for a number of years now, I think going back since 2018, and you're keenly aware of the ideological wing of the Republican Party that I identify with. I sometimes call myself a Javier Milei Republican, but these days now we have Vivek Ramaswamy, who will be working at the Department of Government Efficiency alongside Elon Musk. And despite the fact that it's an outside agency, Elon Musk will have the ear of the president. What do you envision that relationship will look like? And how optimistic are you that the president of the United States on his own, one, will be able to take steps to make cuts, and then going forward when Congress is necessary, the input of Congress is necessary, how effective do you expect that the Department of Government Efficiency may be in pushing us, towards the kinds of cuts that people like Vivek and Elon Musk will be pushing for? Talk to us a little bit about that process.
Look, I think you're a wacko libertarian, Austin, but I think there's some very, very smart people involved in these government efficiency efforts, and I'm very glad for that.
Yeah.
Look, if there's one thing federal bureaucrats are very accomplished at saying, it's you can't do that. You have this entire bloated administrative state that's built up over decades. You have thousands, tens of thousands of employees, many of whom it's recently been revealed haven't been into the office in 4 years. The idea that there isn't waste to cut in the federal government, just given the size of the federal government, is patently absurd. What I think DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, really provides an incredible opportunity for is bringing some of the brightest people into the private sector in almost as external auditors of the whole system. Let's look holistically at federal personnel practices. Let's look holistically at where the money is actually going. It's easy to look at, let's say, the defense budget or entitlement spending or whatever it is, and just see a massive block of money. But in the private sector, that's not typically how you look at departmental budgets. You're looking at subcategories, at personnel costs, at administrative costs, at all the different sort of cost centers that drive those top line items. And knowing Elon Musk, I don't know him personally, but knowing his reputation and knowing Vivek, my suspicion is that that's the approach they're going to take. Where is the money actually going and how can it be spent better? And certainly in terms of federal personnel, there is absolutely room to cut. And I think there is the statutory and regulatory discretion to enact very serious cuts. I mean, in any private sector business, frankly, in any state government, in any local government, if someone just didn't show up to work for 4 years, if they sort of pretended to telework and got bad reviews and just didn't ever come into the office despite being required to, they would be fired. I think there's no reason why the federal government can't operate on a similar principle. And where you have low performers, people who have consistently failed to meet their metrics, people who have consistently failed at their jobs, there needs to be a mechanism, there needs to be an impetus to push them out and either get somebody better in or figure out a way to do the job better. And I'm just really happy that the incoming Trump administration, that the Trump transition is looking seriously at this issue, because it's a massive issue. It's one that a lot of people pay lip service to, but that previous presidential administrations really just haven't taken any action on. So I'm hopeful that we see bold and decisive action by the new Trump administration on issues of governmental efficiency. And it certainly seems like they've set up a great team to start looking at those issues in a very serious, methodical way.
Yeah, I'm thrilled, Will, and it's exciting too. When I saw that Javier Milei was the first international foreign leader that Donald Trump would meet with, it said to myself that it seems as if Donald Trump really understands the heart of what many in the MAGA movement are really pushing for. And when he named Elon Musk and Vivek to the Department of Government Efficiency as an outside agency, I think he really put a lot of fears to rest about, creating of this oxymoronic agency that might be inside the government, and then it might grow and turn into this nasty agency that would become twisted against the purpose that it was created for. So I think that was a really brilliant move by the president. Our friend Clementine over in the chat says AP needs to put Will's face on a neck wrap in his shop and sell it as a Will scarf. Very funny, Clementine. The Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency merchandise. All I know is that Donald Trump's already stimulating my economy, so I'm thrilled for that, Will. But Will, my last question for you, I guess, is just more of a personal one. I mean, talk to us a little bit how you feel personally. I mean, I don't know about your living situation, but I know St. Louis area, you live out there. So, I mean, I guess, are you like packing right now, getting ready to move to Washington, D.C.? Are you looking for a place? I mean, do they have like a wing where you're going to sleep on a cot or something, since we are cutting costs? Or are you looking for apartments in D.C.? What's going on with like the move to D.C.? Or have you already got a place out there? I imagine people like you probably already do.
No, I don't. That's kind of on the agenda for the next couple weeks. I live in St. Louis. I'm keeping my house in St. Louis. I want to remain a Missouri resident. Missouri's my home, and I hope when this kind of tour of duty is done that I'll be able to return here. I mean, just the logistics. We've got 63 days until I need to be at the desk in the office, and just the logistics of kind of getting myself out there while also working on the transition and getting staffed up and doing everything else that all of us are doing right now. It's a little daunting, but it's what's necessary. So we're going to get that done. But yeah, I'm definitely keeping my house in St. Louis. I love Missouri. This is my home, and I don't want to lose that.
No, we're glad to hear that, Will, because, part of our personal pride is to see you, a fellow Missourian, in such a pivotal role, and certainly for the next 4 years, I can imagine that you will do a terrific job. Will, is there any last message, any final words that you want to say to our audience? I imagine that your appearances on the Wake Up America show will probably dwindle over the next 4 years as reality sets in of the amount of time you'll be spending in the White House. So, I'm optimistic we might get you again, but if we don't, Will, is there anything else that you want to say to the audience of your friends and followers here on the Wake Up America show before you go?
Come visit DC. Would obviously love to see my Missouri friends in DC. I think we're in for a wild ride, and keep the faith, hold the line, and keep on fighting, as President Trump said so eloquently. Fight, fight, fight. America needs all of us now. Patriotic Americans needs all of us now more than ever before, and I think we're going to have real challenges in the years ahead. And I fully believe that this administration and the American people are going to be able to overcome those challenges, but it's going to require some hard work. So thank you, Austin, for your incredible friendship over the years. I hope we get chances to talk in the coming months, and thanks for everything that you do. And hopefully we'll have the opportunity to hang out, whether it's in DC or Missouri soon.
That'd be great, Will. Yeah, I'm bringing a Liberty tour of my friends to Washington, D.C. sometime next year. Maybe you can swing by and meet us all up for a drink. Congratulations, Will, and we wish you the best of luck. We will be praying for you, sir, and good luck with everything, and bon chance.
Really appreciate that, Austin. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. That's Will Scharf, now working in the White House for President Donald Trump. Oh, I just saw my dad's text message. He says, Dad says, tell Will hello, and I'm happy for him. Tell him we may be there permanently. We need him on the Supreme Court. Great idea, Dad. Great idea. Yeah, so what is this Liberty tour that we're talking about? So Stephanie and I are putting together a trip to Washington, D.C. next year, and we're going to coordinate everything, get a block of rooms, and you guys are going to get the opportunity to go on a hosted Liberty tour with me and Stephanie Peterson and our beautiful little baby Hazel next year. So I'm not promising any kind of a White House tour or anything like that. I don't know that something like that would happen, but if there's a chance, if Will Scharf is not, he's going to be working like 20-hour days, but if I can convince him to, hopefully he'll return my text messages at that point. He'll come in and join us, maybe sit down for us at a drink, but I'm starting to put together the ideas for next year for the Liberty Tour of Washington, D.C., which is me and Stephanie, and we'll be pushing a baby stroller around D.C., telling you guys stories of some of my critical wins and successes while I was a young activist in Washington, D.C., and telling you about some of the sort of understated or unstated history, the kind of stuff that the politically incorrect stuff that they won't tell you guys if you took any other tour in Washington, D.C. So if you guys are interested in a Liberty Tour, I did see some of you have already responded and said that you're definitely interested. But if this is the first time that you've heard about it, and you are interested in it, I want to get a basic idea of about how many people that we are going to have. I'm going to try and get you a lecture from a guest speaker there in Washington, D.C. Probably won't be Will Scharf. Probably be somebody else. But I'll get you a guest speaker. You'll also, we'll have like a catered lunch with a speech by me. So you'll get to have a speech by me and hopefully a celebrity guest speaker that I will arrange to come and speak. And I will put together a package for you guys. There will be merch for the Liberty Tour of Washington, D.C. It'll be like a 3-4 day trip. We'll have a hotel room blocks. We'll go to a bar that sits above the White House. It's a beautiful view. If you're interested in something like that, send me a text so I can get an idea of just about how many people are interested. So far, I've had about 7 or 8 people say, and I think we probably need about 20 people or so to make it worth it. So Stephanie and I will put that together, and we'll offer you a package of rooms. There will be merchandise. There will be guest speakers. There will be catered lunches and events and things like that for us to do on a 3 or 4 day tour of Washington, D.C. What do you guys think? Sound good, huh? So if you're interested in doing something like that, send us a text and let me know. 573-319-1586 is the text line. Again, you can send me a text. Let me know if you're interested in being a part of the Liberty Tour. If you've already sent me a text and let me know, that's fine. I've already kind of marked your name down as a tentative. So I'm just trying to get an idea, basic idea for a head count before I move forward, because if we can't get at least 20 people interested in it, then it just kind of doesn't make financial sense. So send me a text, 573-319-1586. Say, hey, Austin, I'm definitely down to go on the Liberty Tour. And I would like to, I would like to participate, and then we'll start talking about formalizing some of our itinerary for next spring. What do you guys say? We've got a lot going on. Before I go, though, guys,
can you bless me with
I have to tell you about this.
Oh, gosh. Money-wise.
Can you bless me with something? Go to forlibertyshop.com. Guys, I think you don't quite understand sometimes how the holiday shipping situation can get out of hand fast. You want to get your orders in. The orders are already starting to pile up, and fulfillment is becoming a nightmare, but don't worry. I don't care. It's money, obviously. So please go to forlibertyshop.com and get your orders in, guys, so that you can get them before Christmas. Think about giving someone in your life who loves Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, or Javier Milei a gift from forlibertyshop.com. The cool thing about our merchandise is that you can't get it anywhere else. You don't get Department of Government Efficiency merch like ours anywhere but at forlibertyshop.com. So why don't you head over to forlibertyshop.com today, like right meow, and do yourself a little bit of Christmas shopping, guys. Oh yeah, that's the picture. This is the video of Javier Milei. Hold on, check this out. Here's Javier Milei. This is at Mar-a-Lago the other day. I think Will Scharf is in there somewhere too. Hold on. Here's Javier. Hold on. Like 44 seconds in is when he gets to the shoes. There's Elon. God, we got so many reasons to be excited, guys. There's Trumpy boy. Let's do the Trump dance. Everybody do the Trump dance. There he is. Thank you. Yes. Everybody do the Trump dance. There's JD Vance. Nice. There's Sylvester Stallone, Donald Trump Jr. Yes, Javier Milei, Charlie Kirk, Matt Gaetz, RFK Jr. And then they take a special. Oh, look at that right there. Oh, yes. Wait a minute. Where's my sexy button? That's Cliff Moloney right there. We forgive him for his for missing the show this morning. Because there he is. Look at them zeroing in. That's Javier Milei's own video right there of them getting the Afueras. You can only get the Afuera sneakers at forlibertyshop.com, guys. There you go. Check it out. Department of Government Efficiency merch, Christmas merch. You can get the Gingerbread Man Baked AF, or this Taxation Smells Like Theft candle. Joe Biden Christmas wrapping paper. Probably need to take that out of the shop. There's no Joe Biden anymore, right? You know what I'm saying? Make Christmas Great Again sweatshirts. Let's make Christmas great again together. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Don't spend your money at corporations that hate you guys. Don't do it. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Not only are you supporting free markets, you're supporting a business that cares about your freedom and has been fighting for your freedom. You know, the money that you spend, it goes right back into freedom fighting, or it goes into my baby's bottle. So don't forget, guys, bless me with something.
Can you bless me with something?
At forlibertyshop.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, it may be the last time that we have Will Scharf on the show. He's going to be a busy man, and certainly 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time is like the time that we're live is when they're working their butts off at the White House. So that might have been the last time that we hear from Will Scharf. I might try and get him one more time before he kicks off and starts his job. That would be wonderful, but it was nice to get a little bit of access like that, guys. Thank you so much. If you haven't clicked like, don't forget to do that before you leave. And as you exit through the Grift Shop, guys, at forlibertyshop.com. We'll see you right back here again tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Bye, guys. Oh, yeah, don't forget, too, Martha's Mint Coffee coming later this afternoon. Enjoy it, Kermode Bear. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.